Welcome back, women. This is Women's Wednesday again. Rolls around pretty quick. And of course, gentlemen, if you're watching, I know we have gentlemen watching. And I don't mind at all. I'd like to talk about this subject of a man-child today. I recently watched a video about how not to date a man-child. And I have issues with it. I take issue with it. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's definitely men that act like children, living in their mother's house, not working and spending all day long playing video games. I understand that. That all aside, if a man is working and he's providing for his family, that's pretty much the line. He's not a child, he's a man, he's working, he's providing. So let me give you a couple of examples of this, what it looks like in a marriage. Two couples in our church. One couple, younger, husband was going to school. The wife said, and I kid you not, it sounded like she was talking to one of her children, or talking about one of her children. It was, I have to nag him. If I didn't nag him all the time, he would never do his schoolwork. I couldn't believe it. It floored me that this woman was talking about her husband that way. My second example is an elderly couple who've been, married forever, very good Christians, and the husband makes jokes about how, oh, if my wife were here, she would be poking me like to stop talking if he was going too long about something. I don't know if I would ever dream of trying to poke the revolting man when I think he's talking too long. I mean, it's like, why are we treating our husbands like our children, And so I wanted to just raise a few points. First of all, let me make sure I'm checking my notes. I don't want to go all off track, which I love to do. You know what it says in Proverbs about a nagging wife, right? The husband, he'd rather be on the roof sleeping than to be in a house with a nagging wife. This is not a pleasant home. We don't want to nag. We don't want to be that woman where our husband would rather be away from us. You want to know why he's spending so much time, at the bar or playing video games or whatever? You might look in the mirror and say, are you really somebody that he wants to spend time with, or are you nagging all the time? Are you an unpleasant woman to be around? I'm just curious. I'm just asking, just saying. What it reminds me of when I hear women like this, when they want their men to act a certain way and fulfill their desires a certain way, what I see is women wanting men to act like they do, to act like women. Do we want our men to act like women? Of course not. I don't want my man to be feminized. I don't want to emasculate him. I'm pretty happy that he's masculine. That's what appeals to women, right? So this idea that we want to shrink them down and make them fit into our little domesticated, bedazzled box is just really harmful. It's really, really, really harmful. And it's just about control. We still want to be controlling them by wanting them to clean up after themselves. There is nothing wrong with cleaning up after your husband. There is nothing wrong with being in service to him. He is the king of his home. He should come home and be treated like a king. This is what builds our husbands up. This is the opposite of nagging. It says also in Proverbs that a wise woman builds her house up and a foolish woman tears it down. Now, do we want to build our husbands up? Do we want to put them on that pedestal and make them our kings? Do we want them to be masculine? Do we want them to be able to protect us and to lead us? And, when the enemies are coming, I know that there's not technically like battles and wars being fought right now, and I think that's a big problem actually with why women have gotten so used to the, you know, the control and all that, because we don't necessarily see the battles that our husbands have to face. Of course, we know from the New Testament that sometimes the battles are, or not sometimes, but the battles are against unseen things. So our husband being our head, he's going to take a lot. He's going to take a lot of those spiritual battles for us. You know, he's our covering, he's our head. And he's, you know, he's also responsible to God for us. He's responsible to God for the direction his family goes in, for upbringing, for the children's upbringing, and the wife becoming closer to God. And he's going to have to answer to God for that. Now, we're going to have to answer to God for how we followed our husbands, how we submitted to them, not how we taught them how to load a dishwasher the right way, or, you know, nagged them so much they got through college and got their degree. If they're responsible to God for us, then why wouldn't we want to clean up after them? Why wouldn't we feel it an honor and a privilege to serve our husbands? You know, why would we feel like it was a burden? You know, when they're the king, they're the leaders, they're going to have to answer. This is the thing. If you want to see real change in your husband and in his behaviors, change your own behaviors. Change your own attitude. For some reason, and it's a mystery to me and it's a miracle, but this is the way God works, and this is the way that his plan for marriage works. What happens is when we stop focusing on the other person and we start focusing on ourselves and treating the other better, you know, the respect can go so far in building a man up. And this is the main one thing that men need is respect. And you're not being respectful if you're having to nag him about picking up his dirty clothes off the floor, or, you know, or whatever. And so as soon as you start treating your husband with unconditional respect, let that sink in for a minute. No matter what he does or how he acts, you're going to respect him. I bet 99.9% of the time you'll see a change in that man. And that man that you thought was a man-child will start to man up. And the beauty of it is that as soon as we see our men manning up more, guess what happens to us? We say, wow. And we want to be in submission even more. We want to be submitted to a man. You know, we want to be serving that kind of man, that king, that warrior, you know, that masculine protector of the home. And beautiful things happen when men can be men and women can be women. So let's be one of those women who builds her house, who builds her home, and not one that tears down, and not one that feels like they have to nag because their husband won't act like a woman, won't clean up after themselves like a woman would do it, or what have you. One last quote from C.S. Lewis. I love C.S. Lewis, but, you know, in the Chronicles of Narnia, when the children ask about Aslan and they say, is he a tame lion? And, you know, the answer is, no, he's not a tame lion, but he's a good lion. That's how we should think about our husbands. You know, they're not domestic like us. They are a little wild, and that's how we want them. We want them wild. So, and just to let you know, I'm still learning all this, and every now and then I forget, and you know, I have to get a little, you know, not swat, like a, but, you know, the revolting man will remind me, you know, that, hey, wait a minute, you know, I'm not a tame lion, but he's a good lion. So anyways, have a wonderful rest of the week and next week, and I will see you on the 3rd Wednesday of March. Thanks a lot, ladies. Have a good night.